The Grenadier is showing its British roots quite well. We're going to go over that in today's video. We're also going to go over some positive updates because there are some really cool things that I've learned about the Grenadier over the course of more ownership. So let's just dive right into it. First things first, this is my 2024 Grenadier. This is a Trial Master. As you can see, I'm at 10,448 miles. Now, my original plan was not to make any content on the Grenadier until I hit 12,000 miles because that's the next service. However, enough things have gone awry since my last video that I think we need an update. But the first update that I do want to give you guys on the Grenadier is something that hasn't gone awry, but rather something that I've discovered on the Grenadier that is really cool. It's pretty simple, but it's something that some people might miss. What we're going to do is we're going to turn on the Grenadier, and we're going to take a stroll over to my field. And here we are, folks. We are in the field. Now what I'm going to do next is put it in 4-wheel drive low, so I've got it in neutral. Just pull the shifter back, let it roll a little bit. That should be engaged. Put it into drive. Oh! Good to go now. It's a gear-driven system, so it does take a second to engage. Sometimes it's a little bit old school, but as you can see, we're in 4-wheel drive low. I figured I'd do this POV because it'd be easier to show you guys. You'll note that I am in second gear. So, this is why I'm in the field, by the way, so that I'm not doing this on asphalt. Not good for the driveline system. You'll notice second gear. No matter what I do, if I come to a full stop, it is second gear. This car starts in second gear, which makes a lot of sense if you're going to be doing overlanding and all that kind of stuff. Don't worry, it's just plants. But if you're going to be doing rock crawling, that is not ideal. So here's what I've been playing with. Manually shifting it into first gear and just keeping it in first. So here is first gear. You guys can see it's going pretty slowly, 2 miles an hour. Now I'll pop it into second. So this is what it starts off at. Increases the speed to about 3 miles an hour. So it changes it, again, this is on relatively flat terrain, by about 1 mile per hour. So the reason why this is so important, I've been doing most of my off-roading and rock climbing in just automatic mode, just letting the computer do everything. Now that I've been playing with that manual function, I can tell you this thing from a rock crawling perspective is so much better if you just lock it into first. So if you're doing anything that is, you know, if you're just going up a steep incline that's not that long, just pop it into automatic and go up. But if you're going to be doing like an articulated rock crawl section, just pop it into manual, put it in first gear. Again, I know something is super basic, but a lot of people might miss this, and I notice a lot of car reviewers, when they take this off-road, are missing this. So yeah, let's get into the next stuff that's more exciting. I would like to let you guys know that no plants were harmed in the making of this. Die! Okay, I had to do the joke. See, he's okay, just a little bruised up. So the first problem has to deal with the door handles. And I do need to mention before I dive into this problem that this is already a recall that Ineos has released. There's already a fix for this particular problem, but my vehicle does happen to be affected. What essentially happens is sometimes when you open up the door, the handle will stick in the unlatched position like that. And then when you go to close the door, it won't properly latch. The fix for it that I found is you just have to kind of bring the door back a little bit and just pop it in extra hard. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get this to do it. It looks like those doors are working. See on the other side. Yeah, of course when I try to show it in a video, it doesn't work. I did post a YouTube short though showing this, so just look up "My door won't close, LOL Ben Hardy," and it should pop up. But again, like I said, recall, so that's already taken care of. I mentioned this in prior videos, but something here in the back is rattling sometimes when I drive. And now it's turned into like an on-off situation where sometimes it rattles and sometimes it doesn't, so I don't know exactly what's going on. Obviously gonna have the dealership check that out when I take this in, but it is something that's persistent. While we're out back, the flooring here still kind of is peeling up a little bit. It's not bad. It seems like it's stopped for the most part. I've still been loading stuff in and out like normal, but a little bit of a fit and finish problem. And you've actually listened to this door close. Again, I'm wondering if it's something in this side. You can see how it kind of wiggles a little bit. Whereas the much smaller door, obviously just super tight shut. I'm not sure if the next thing's gonna pop up on camera very well, but you can see the plastic here is having this massive fade. Now this is obviously not a huge deal, but it does make me wonder about the longevity of some of these parts. And I do want to mention that I do have this parked in shade permanently. And this is by no means the fanciest parking situation ever, but this is where I parked the Grenadier with the Land Cruiser in this shed. So these are obviously exposed to the sunlight when I'm out driving and everything, but when it's home, yeah, they're not. I'm not seeing fading on other plastic parts here. That's just a scratch from off-roading. Actually, a little bit in here too. You can see. So I'm not sure what that's about. This next one's extremely minor, but it's the checker plates. You can see we've got all these rivets to actually hold it in. The very edge though, on this side, it's coming up just a teeny tiny bit. But over here on the driver's side, it's coming up quite a bit more. You can see that little wiggle that it's got. But from my perspective, as long as they don't fly off while I'm driving and they continue to bear weight, I'm okay with it. Now, I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this because this is something else that I've already mentioned, but driver door closes fine, but you can see it's slightly misaligned from the factory. The next item is the check engine light that would come on every so often when I would fill it up with fuel. Basically how this one works, I fill the Grenadier up with fuel, it gives me a check engine light. I'm pretty sure it's called the fuel plausibility issue, if I remember properly. But what was happening for me is every single time I filled up with gas, it would do the check engine light thing, and then it just randomly stopped. It's kind of like the door handle thing, where the doors will work properly for a time, and then they'll stop working, where they'll just not latch for a time, and then they just kind of go back. So that's kind of one of the things with the Grenadier, is stuff works most of the time, but then sometimes it doesn't, and it's consistently not working, and then it goes back to consistently working, and I guess it's a little bit of a roller coaster. But this one seriously is no big deal to me personally, because whether I have a check engine light or not on the dash doesn't bother me. The next one that definitely does bother me is the air conditioning. Sometimes it doesn't blow cold. Well, right now is not actually a good example because I just turned on the AC full blast and it's working as it normally should. Again, kind of like the other issues where sometimes it's an issue, sometimes it's not. Now, the only way that I've been able to fix this particular issue, quote unquote fix, right, get it to stop doing it, is to get out of the vehicle, lock it, and let the computer reset after about 3 minutes. And I will say that's another theme with this car. Whenever you have any sort of issue with the electronics, you just get out of the car, you lock it, and you let the computer do a hard reset. And while we're on the topic of computers, we do have to talk about this speed limit thing that everyone talks about. So I have it set as my favorite preset. And almost every single time you get in the car, you have to turn it off. Now again, this is another one of those things where sometimes the car resets the system. So like right now, I do have to turn it off. But sometimes when you get out of the car, lock it, come back to it, get back in, it's still turned off. And that is definitely another trend I've noticed with the Grenadier, where sometimes it saves the, quote unquote, saves the settings. I don't think it's really saving them, and sometimes it doesn't. And so I do think that there's definitely some computer stuff they have to work out, which, again, British cars, it seems like that's always been a theme throughout the years where they have something that happens electrically. I mean, my Defender was a great example of that. And I do want to say, although it seems like I'm complaining quite a bit about the Grenadier, this has been better than any of the other cars I've owned over the last few years. Again, we're talking Ford, we're talking Stellantis, General Motors. Like, the only other manufacturer that has been as good as the Grenadier in terms of overall quality and lack of issues has been Toyota, and I will give it to Toyota. They have been less problematic than the Grenadier. I've got the microphone faced away from me so I can just show this to you guys. This window, when I open it up, oh, it's not going to do. Of course, this stuff always gets, oh, there it is. You can see this flew out. So I think this is like a clip that's part of the Safari window. This side works perfectly fine. No issues ever. But for some reason on the passenger side, this thing flew out, and I've put it back in an attempt to like re-secure it, but I think I'm just going to have to get a new little clip. But yeah, again, there's little build quality things with the Grenadier. The next item is the seat. I'm not a super wide person, but you can see that I've got quite a bit of wear on the bolster there already. I partially sit on the bolster. And here's what the passenger side looks like. I think that they could make the bottom portion of the seats a little bit wider. I think the top is absolutely perfect. I just think the bottom bolsters are a little bit too narrow. And again, I'm like quite a bit smaller than your average American when it comes to width. Now, my last complaint has to deal with the suspension. I have had zero reliability issues with the suspension or the axle. But even if I air these tires down to like 15 PSI, which I have done before, well, I guess that we're back in the field again. And the point I want to make, as you can see, well, you probably can't see on camera, maybe you can hear it a little bit, you feel everything through the suspension in this. Now, I've seen the ads that Ineos has on this about the suspension saying that it's both rugged and comfortable. I will admit, it is extremely rugged, and when you're rock crawling, so again, very slow speed stuff where the suspension has a second to work, it's actually very comfortable. It is amazing. But when you go over dirt roads, and especially roads with a lot of rocks and gravel, you feel everything through the suspension. Now, I originally thought this might be a solid axle thing, but I recently took a Jeep Wrangler down the trails that I've taken this down, and I did it back to back, and I can tell you that the Wrangler was extremely, like, comfortable, way more comfortable than what the Grenadier is over the same terrain. And again, if I just, like, just every little thing, you kind of, it's not, again, it's not the worst thing on the planet. It's a price you pay for durability and simplicity, but it is something to note. And I'm wondering if I go for like really soft tires like BFGs, if that'll kind of make it a little bit better. But at the same time, I have these tires because they're heavy duty, kind of like the vehicle. So I don't know, just something to note. The suspension comfort, and I've taken a bunch of off-roaders out recently, the suspension comfort on this is not the worst, but it's not up there with the best. I'd say the best is probably, in terms of solid axle vehicles, yeah, definitely the Wrangler. But the new Lexus LX 700H and the new Toyota Land Cruiser are actually very comfortable as well. This is similar in terms of like comfort on that bumpy stuff to like a unibody vehicle like a Defender, that you feel every little thing, but it's controllable, which is, I guess, this benefit. In conclusion, Ineos definitely has some work cut out for them to make the Grenadier a better vehicle. With that being said, what they have already released is seriously impressive for a brand new car from a brand new car company. This is already better than Jeep and Ford. I'll just say it right out of the gate, because I owned both a Bronco and a Wrangler. The Wrangler, the power steering kept overheating, and the fit and finish was way worse than what it is here with this Grenadier. I mean, the Wrangler, constant creaking, constant rattling. And then the Bronco, so many electrical issues. I didn't feel comfortable taking it off-road anymore because it just kept having these big electrical gremlins pop up. I mean, one time it literally would not take the computer out of four-wheel drive low programming when I was in two-wheel drive high because the drive mode got locked and everything. Just stupid stuff. So both of those vehicles are already worse than the Grenadier is as a baseline. Land Rover, that's another off-roader that a lot of people might compare this to that I owned. I had a Defender for a year. Power steering went out twice. Coolant line went out. I had to get the car towed to the dealership twice. I have not had to have this car towed a single time. I've had experience with Ram too, right? My T-Rex, the transmission went out after 2,000 miles. So the point I'm trying to make is, it might seem like this vehicle is not all that great on the surface based on this video. It's better than what you can get from every other manufacturer except for one, and that is Toyota. Toyota still has a product that, in my opinion, is slightly better in terms of everything working seamlessly. With that being said, the underpinnings of the modern Toyotas aren't nearly as durable as what this has. And so with Toyota, you're going to get a more seamless user experience, right? Like the infotainment system's always going to work, the air conditioning's always going to work, but you're probably going to break axles and CV joints and all that kind of stuff on the Toyota, whereas on this, the underpinnings are a lot more durable, so that stuff isn't going to break. So you kind of have to pick and choose. Do I want the UI to work better, or do I want the vehicle to actually last? And so hopefully this was a good update for you guys. I'll see ya.